The VIMS Shark Survey is one of the longest, if not the longest, continuous shark monitoring programs in the world. Jack Music started it in 1973, and then I took it over about 3 years ago. So the goal is that we want to be able to study the abundance and distributions of sharks over long time periods, because they're long-lived animals. So we need to know changes in abundance over, say, a 10-year cycle. So that's why these long time series are particularly important. We mostly work out of Chesapeake Bay in the Virginia coastal waters. So we have a couple of stations inside the bay. We have a couple of stations in the lagoon on the eastern shore, a couple of stations off Virginia Beach, and then a couple of deeper water stations, basically due east of Chesapeake Bay. Well, we operate in the summer because the sharks are migratory, so they come in the spring and they leave in the fall. So historically we sample between May and, say, September, sometimes October. We go out once a month during each of the summer months, and each trip, if everything goes well, we can do it in about 3 or 4 days. The VIMS Shark Survey team is mostly made up of students in my lab. I have a senior graduate student, Christine Parsons, and then we have 4 other people in lab who like to come out on the surveys, and they're good at it. So we kind of have a core team of 5 people. The vessel that we use is the Bay Eagle. It's an excellent platform for what we do, because the captain, Grand Ward, has been doing this for quite some time. So in addition to the vessel, which is big enough to go offshore but also small enough to go in and do our shallow water stations, Captain Ward has a wealth of experience and general know-how. So it's a really good package. The Bay Eagle is 65 feet long, shallow draft. It's a little bit top heavy, so it gets a little lumpy, but again, that allows us to go into shallow water and do our work. On the VIMS longline survey, as the name suggests, our primary piece of gear is a longline. It's what commercial fishermen use for sharks. The standard configuration is that we put out a buoy or a marker so that we know one end of the long line, and then an anchor. And then the line itself is a nylon line about 2 miles long. So we feed it out of the boat at a controlled rate, and we have a series of pre-baited leaders with menhaden, which is what we've always used for bait. So the leaders are about 8 feet long or so, and it's got a clip on the end. So as the long line is going out the back of the vessel, we clip each hook on and let it go. So we have a series of hooks that are spaced about 60 feet apart, and we run anywhere from 100 to 200 hooks depending on where we are and what we're targeting. Now after the 4-hour set, we reel in the line. So we pick up the buoy, we attach the long line to a winch, and we haul it in such a way that we're reeling in the long line, and we take each hook off one by one. It either has bait on it, and then we take the bait off and stack the hooks in a basket, or if it has a shark on it, we walk it down to the back of the boat. We pull the shark in if it's small, or we winch it in if it's a big one on a gurney. Take the hook out, we identify the shark, measure it. We take 3 different types of lengths. We take a fin clip. If somebody needs a tissue sample, we take a little clip off the end of the fin. Take the hook out, and then we tag it with a numbered tag, and then we release everything. So if it's alive when we bring it on boat, it goes back in alive. And the importance of the tags is that if somebody recaptures that shark after some length of time and give us a measurement, then we know something about the growth rate of the shark. And if they catch it at a different place, we know something about the migration patterns of the sharks. So for example, we've tagged sharks here in Chesapeake Bay, and the tag has been recovered in Texas. So some of these animals are capable of long-term migrations. What we have found with the VIMS data and other data sets from other places is that since the 70s, sharks have declined rapidly. And it's not really a mystery to why that happens. Our fishing methods have become extremely efficient, but the sharks they're the apex predators in their environment. They're not really accustomed to being preyed upon themselves. So sharks generally live for a long time. It takes them a long time to mature before they can even have their first set of pups. And then when they do have pups, they don't have very many. So it's not an animal that's really geared to replace itself very quickly. So our data have shown declines in numerous species. The other really important thing about monitoring data is that one of the reasons you're managing a fishery it's not to tell people they can and can't fish. It's to tell them at what level they can fish without wrecking their own fishery. So it's important to have a monitoring program such as this, because you have to know if your management efforts are even effective. You know, are the sharks starting to hold their own, or are they increasing again as a function of management? So these are the primary uses of our data that go to the National Marine Fisheries Service. They need to know when the declines happened, how severe they were, and was there a reaction to some management effort. And that's how the scientists, the managers, and the user groups all interact, is using these long-term data sets.